Okay, let's unpack our skin. It's not just a static covering. It's actually the largest organ in the body. And get this, you're essentially wearing a brand new outfit every single month.
Yeah, that surface layer, the epidermis, it completely regenerates about every 28 days.
Kind of like the lining of your gut, right? It's mind-blowing.
It really is. What's fascinating here is just how dynamic this organ is, one we often, take for granted. The constant turnover really highlights its role not just as a barrier, but as a very active interface with the world.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving deep into today, our mission to explore the science behind healthy, vibrant skin.
And we've got a great resource for this.
We do. A YouTube transcript featuring Dr. Soleymani. He's a double board certified dermatologist sharing his expert insights.
So this lets us tap into the latest, evidence-based knowledge directly from a leading dermatologist.
Great. So with that expert foundation, let's start with something we all experience. Stress. We all know a stressful day can leave us looking a bit, rough. But what's the science actually saying?
Well, Dr. Soleymani explained the three main layers: epidermis, dermis, and the subcutaneous fat.
Right. And most of the biological activity, the real action, happens where?
In the dermis, yeah. That's where you find the blood vessels, nerves, hair follicles, glands, all that stuff.
Making it a prime target for the body's stress response, I guess.
Exactly. So think about acute stress, that immediate fight or flight response.
Okay, what does that do to our skin?
It triggers hormones that cause vasoconstriction. Basically, your skin's blood vessels squeeze shut.
Oh, right.
Yeah, diverting blood flow elsewhere, which is why you might look pale or, gaunt when suddenly stressed.
Makes sense. Explains the kind of deer in the headlights look sometimes. But what about the longer term effects? Chronic stress, we hear it can age you.
Yeah, chronic stress means a sustained release of cortisol and related hormones. And over time, these can actually contribute to the deterioration of the dermis and that subcutaneous fat layer.
Wow.
Which impacts the skin's quality and appearance. It sort of accelerates that aging process.
So that vacation glow people talk about, it's not just in our heads then. Less stress could actually mean healthier looking skin.
Absolutely. As Dr. Soleymani pointed out, while it's hard to quantify perfectly in a lab, the improvement you see in skin health and appearance when people reduce stress is definitely observable.
Interesting. He also mentioned that vasoconstriction, the narrowing blood vessels, isn't just from stress. What else causes that?
Oh, smoking is a big one. A significant factor. Nicotine and other compounds in cigarette smoke are potent vasoconstrictors.
Okay, let's transition there then. We've seen how internal stress hits our skin. Now, external factors we might control more directly, like smoking and alcohol. Smoking. It's bad news generally, but specifically for skin.
Yeah, Dr. Soleymani was very clear. Smoking constricts those blood vessels in the skin.
Which we just talked about.
Right, and that's a major problem. It hinders healing. It reduces the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. It just generally compromises the overall health of your skin.
And that includes e-cigarettes, vaping.
He emphasized that, yes, it applies to e-cigarettes and vaping as well.
So really no healthy way to smoke for your skin. Okay, what about alcohol? Another one with a, let's say, complicated relationship with our bodies, short-term effects after a drink or two.
Well, in the short term, alcohol acts as a mild diuretic. It makes your body lose more water.
Right, dehydration.
Exactly. And that can show up on the skin as dryness, maybe a loss of volume. Some people might also notice their skin ramps up sebum production, trying to compensate.
And that flush some people get, it can be more than just a rosy glow, can it?
That's right. Certain individuals, especially with genetic predispositions common in some Asian populations, they have trouble breaking down acetaldehyde.
A byproduct of alcohol.
Yes, a byproduct of alcohol metabolism. And this toxin can cause significant vasodilation, blood vessels widening in the skin, leading to that bright red flush.
Okay, so short-term dehydration, maybe some redness, maybe extra oil. What about long-term regular alcohol consumption?
Long-term, that chronic diuretic effect can lead to persistent dryness, and the increased sebum might contribute to breakouts over time. More broadly, though, Dr. Soleymani linked regular alcohol use to lifestyle choices that often negatively impact skin, inconsistent skincare, maybe poor hydration generally, less healthy diets.
And the gut microbiome connection, we know that's huge now. How does alcohol play into that and maybe indirectly affect skin?
Yeah, the gut microbiome, that whole ecosystem in your digestive tract, it definitely influences inflammatory skin conditions.
Through the immune system, right.
Primarily, yes. Alcohol's impact on the gut microbiome is, well, complex. It varies a lot. High concentration alcohols can be particularly disruptive, maybe affecting gut motility.
And since the gut and skin are linked.
Right, those disruptions can indirectly show up as skin issues in people who are sensitive.
So overall, sounds like alcohol isn't really a friend to our skin. Let's switch to something we're always told to do.
What?
Stay hydrated. Does chugging water actually give us that dewy complexion?
You know, this is a really common misconception. Adequate systemic hydration is crucial for overall health, definitely.
But for the skin specifically.
Dr. Soleymani explained that for most people with a balanced lifestyle, just drinking large amounts of extra water doesn't directly translate to significantly improved skin hydration.
Interesting. So you can't just drink your way to perfectly hydrated skin. What determines it then, mostly?
It's largely genetically determined, actually, and the skin's natural oils, the sebum, play a huge role in maintaining that moisture barrier.
Okay, so gallons of water aren't the magic bullet. That's where moisturizers fit in, then. What are they actually doing?
Right. Their main job, the primary role, is to minimize transepidermal water loss.
Water evaporating from the skin?
Exactly. They create a barrier that helps trap the moisture that's already in your skin.
Got it. But there's so many moisturizers out there. How do you choose? What should we look for?
He gave some practical tips. First, look for non-comedogenic. That means it's tested not to clog pores.
Okay, important.
Definitely. Then consider your skin type. Oily skin usually does better with lighter formulations. Dry skin needs richer ones.
And the difference between lotions, creams, ointments.
Right. Ointments are the greasiest, most moisturizing. Think Vaseline. Creams are next, thicker than lotions. Lotions are the lightest, highest water content.
What about the packaging? Jar versus pump. Does that matter?
Yeah. Jar packaging often means a thicker, more occlusive product, so potentially more moisturizing, but maybe also a higher risk of breakouts for some.
And pumps.
Pump bottles usually contain lighter formulas, less likely to clog pores, but maybe not quite as intensely hydrating for very dry skin.
Okay, that clarifies things. So we understand internal states, lifestyle, now direct care.
Yeah.
We talked hydration, moisturizers. What about those pesky under-eye bags? We all had them. What's the deal?
Yeah, under-eye bags, primarily caused by two main things. Fluid retention is one.
Like after a salty meal.
Exactly. Or lymphatic changes, how fluid shifts when you sleep, allergies, lots of factors. The second cause is age-related fat herniation.
Fat herniation.
Yeah, the fat pads around the eyes can sort of shift and bulge forward as we age, contributing to that bagged appearance.
Ah, okay. Explains why they can be worse some mornings than others, but also get more persistent over time. Now, cleaning. I mentioned I use simple stuff like unscented Dove or Cetaphil. Are those basic options actually okay?
Absolutely. Dr. Soleymani specifically validated using gentle, fragrance-free cleansers like those.
That's a relief.
Yeah, he emphasized there's no real scientific evidence that super expensive cleansers work any better than these cost-effective ones.
Good news for the wallet. But what about over-cleansing? Is that a thing? We're often told to scrub hard.
Oh, definitely. Over-cleansing can be detrimental. It strips away the skin's natural oils, which you need for suppleness and a healthy barrier.
And the microbiome.
It disrupts that too. The skin microbiome, all those beneficial microorganisms living on our skin. Wiping them out can actually create an opening for pathogens to thrive. It messes with the skin's sort of symbiotic homeostasis.
So delicate balance then. When should we definitely cleanse?
Cleansing after sweating is important. The salt crystals can be irritating, and sweat can be food for certain skin yeasts.
Okay.
And for people with acne, removing excess sebum, which feeds acne bacteria, can be helpful. But frequency is really person-specific.
Right.
As Dr. Soleymani noted, less frequent cleansing is pretty common in other parts of the world, and they don't necessarily have more skin problems.
Makes sense. Let's talk scalp. It's skin too, right?
Okay.
Dry, fleeky scalp. Dandruff. What's the expert view?
Right. He pointed out that many anti-dandruff shampoos have ingredients that can actually strip the hair's natural oils.
So they might fix the flakes but dry out the hair.
Potentially, yes. Conditions like dandruff or scalp psoriasis are often due to an overgrowth of yeast or maybe an overactive immune response on the scalp itself. The topical treatments target those issues.
Not the hair structure.
Correct. They address the scalp condition without affecting the hair structure directly. However, washing itself removes the natural oils coating the hair cuticle.
The outer layer.
Yeah, the part responsible for shine and structure. Removing those oils can make hair feel limp or dull. And like skincare, cost doesn't mean better quality in hair products.
Good reminder. Okay, let's tackle a big one, maybe controversial. Sun exposure. Too much is clearly bad. Skin cancer, aging, you know that. But is any amount healthy beyond just vitamin D?
It is a bit controversial, but Dr. Soleymani, who's a skin cancer surgeon, actually believes some sun exposure is healthy.
Interesting. Why? What's the reasoning?
Well, he mentioned the feel-good factor.
Yeah.
Mood improvement, maybe even a decrease in cortisol levels from being in the sun. And for vitamin D, he said about 15-20 minutes on the forearms is often enough for many people, but he stressed that tolerance varies a lot based on skin type.
So not a one-size-fits-all recommendation.
Definitely not. But his point was that complete avoidance probably isn't the healthiest approach overall.
Finding a balance. So when we do need protection, sunscreen, sunblock, the terms seem a bit mixed up now.
You're right, the FDA has been trying to unify things. Sunscreen is now the general term for products protecting against sunburn, and they're regulated as over-the-counter drugs.
Which means they're looked at pretty closely for safety and effectiveness.
Exactly. Now, the old distinction, sunblock physically blocking, sunscreen absorbing chemically, is that still how it works? Sunscreen protects against UVA, the aging rays, and UVB, the burning rays, right?
Yes, both types.
Historically, mineral sunscreens, zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, were seen as physical blockers reflecting UV, often called sunblock.
Right.
Chemical sunscreens were understood to absorb UV and dissipate the energy as heat. But newer research suggests minerals also absorb UV quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
The key difference might be that chemical sunscreens undergo a chemical reaction to dissipate the energy, while minerals act more like a shield without that chemical change happening on the skin.
Got it. So both protect, just slightly different mechanisms. What about protection besides sunscreen?
Oh yeah, Dr. Soleymani really emphasized physical barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Hats, long sleeves, long pants, they're highly effective.
Simple but effective.
Very. And your motivation matters too.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to prevent premature aging, reduce cancer risk, manage a sun-sensitive condition? That guides your approach.
And he mentioned oral supplements, like an internal sunscreen.
Yes, things like sun powder. The idea is they provide an internal shield, potentially allowing longer sun exposure without reapplying topicals quite as often.
Interesting concept. Now, the link between sunscreen and skin cancer, you'd think it's straightforward. Use sunscreen, less cancer, but it's more complex. Surprisingly, yeah. While UV damage signatures are definitely found in common skin cancers, basal cell, squamous cell, melanoma studies haven't consistently shown that topical sunscreen use reduces the risk of basal cell carcinoma or even death specifically from skin cancer.
Wow, that's really unexpected given the UV connection.
It is. However, diligent sunscreen use is associated with a decrease in forming melanoma and squamous cell carcinoma.
Okay, so it acts with those two.
Yes. But it's also crucial to remember that many skin cancers, including some very dangerous melanomas like acrolentiginous melanoma, pop up in areas not chronically exposed to sun.
So genetics, immune system, they play big roles too.
Absolutely. Significant roles. Sunscreen is just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay. But for premature aging, sunscreen definitely helps, right? We've all seen the truck driver photo.
Oh, definitely. UV protection, including mineral sunscreens, absolutely reduces premature aging signs like wrinkles and sunspots. It's the cumulative effect over years. And interestingly, a study on eyelid skin found UV-induced mutations even in normal, non-cancerous skin. It highlights UV's role in aging, perhaps more directly than its link to all skin cancers.
So when choosing a sunscreen, especially for family, Dr. Soleymani mentioned he prefers mineral ones, zinc and titanium.
Yes, for his personal use and his family, he leans towards mineral sunscreens, zinc oxide, or zinc titanium dioxide combo.
Why? What are the concerns with chemical ones?
Well, there was a significant study in 2020 showing that chemical sunscreen ingredients get absorbed into the blood plasma pretty readily, even after just one application.
Absorbed into the bloodstream.
Yes, at levels exceeding the FDA's safety threshold for systemic exposure.
Yikes. What are the potential health effects?
The long-term implications are still being studied, but there are concerns. Some chemical compounds like oxybenzone, octocrylene, octinoxate have structural similarities to known endocrine disruptors like BPA. Animal and in vitro studies raise flags about potential endocrine disruption or nervous system effects.
And the FDA is looking at this.
They are. They proposed reclassifying some of these chemicals from generally recognized as safe and effective, or GRACE, to not GRACE, basically meaning more data is needed.
Because of these absorption and potential disruption concerns.
Right, and also because they've been detected in places like breast milk, amniotic fluid, blood plasma, urine.
Oh.
And given that infant and toddler skin is more permeable, the recommendation is generally mineral sunscreens for kids under 6 months old.
Okay, so if we choose mineral, what should we look for?
Find one you'll actually use consistently. That's key. Make sure it's broad spectrum UVA and UVB and SPF 30 or higher.
What about the zinc concentration?
Higher zinc usually means better protection against UV and even visible light, but it can be, chalkier, harder to rub in.
And stick to lotions or creams, not powders.
Yes. Topical mineral sunscreens are preferred over the powders. Powders have inhalation risks and coverage issues.
Got it. You also mentioned something called polypodium leucotomos, a fern extract.
Yes, polypodium leucotomos. It's an oral supplement. It basically acts like an internal sun shield.
How does it do that?
It increases the skin's minimal erythema dose, or MED. That's the amount of UV needed to cause sunburn. So it raises your skin's natural resistance to burning.
So it helps prevent sunburn from the inside out.
Essentially, yes. Sun powder is a specific brand he mentioned that combines polypodium with nicotinamide, another ingredient studied for skin health, and reducing non-melanoma skin cancer risk.
What's the dosage like? And side effects?
Dosages vary, often between 50 and 480 milligrams. It's generally well tolerated, maybe some mild stomach upset for a few people.
And you take it daily? Or just before sun?
You can do either, daily for ongoing prevention, or about an hour before significant sun exposure for an extra boost. And it might also help block visible light, which is relevant for conditions like melasma.
Fascinating. Okay, let's shift gears now to what we put inside our bodies. Nutrition, the gut microbiome. How strongly are they linked to our skin?
Oh, the connection is significant and increasingly recognized. What happens in your gut microbiome definitely impacts skin health and the skin's own microbiome.
How so?
Modulating the gut microbiome through diet, probiotics, etc., has been shown to affect inflammatory skin conditions. Think psoriasis, eczema, acne.
It really shows up on the skin then.
It really can. Now, individual responses vary a lot, of course.
Yeah.
But a generally well-balanced diet is foundational.
And for optimal skin health specifically.
Dr. Soleymani suggested a high-protein, anti-inflammatory approach. Good quality animal proteins, fruits, vegetables, depending on your tolerance, of course.
Why anti-inflammatory?
Because inflammatory foods can worsen skin issues, partly through glucose-insulin pathways and also through byproducts created when certain gut bacteria metabolize those foods.
Okay. What about supplements? Collagen is everywhere now. Does it actually work for skin?
Collagen. Well, it's a protein, but it's non-essential, meaning our body can make the amino acids it needs to build its own collagen.
So we don't need to eat collagen?
Technically, no.
Yeah.
Now, some studies show benefits from supplements, but there can be confounding factors, like, are people also eating better generally? Is there a placebo effect? Dr. Soleymani also mentioned an interesting point about powdered proteins, including collagen. They can increase blood osmolality.
Meaning?
Basically makes your blood slightly more concentrated, which can cause your body to retain water. This might give a temporary plumping look to the skin.
So it looks better, but it's just water retention, not actual new collagen.
That's the idea. It doesn't necessarily mean increased collagen or elastin density in the skin structure itself. And that water retention could potentially be linked to higher blood pressure in some people.
So the evidence that ingested collagen directly boosts skin collagen is still pretty weak.
That's the current scientific consensus, yes. No strong proof it gets digested, absorbed, and then specifically rebuilds collagen in your skin.
Did Dr. Soleymani take it?
He mentioned personally consuming some bioactive collagen peptides in that sun powder product, but emphasized prioritizing natural sources of bone broth, animal meats, as part of his higher protein, lower carb diet.
Got it. What about omega-3s? Fish oil.
Omega-3s, yeah, especially from fish oil, are known for their anti-inflammatory properties. That can definitely benefit skin health.
Any downsides?
The main thing is they can have a blood thinning effect. So something to be mindful of, especially if you're having surgery or are on other blood thinners.
Okay. So beyond diet and basic skincare, what about more advanced treatments? Things people might hear about but not fully understand.
Right. Dr. Soleymani really highlighted retinoids.
Vitamin A derivatives.
Exactly. Prescription strength topicals like tretinoin, adapalene, tazarotene, And even oral forms like isotretinoin for severe acne or acitretin for other conditions.
What makes them so powerful?
They do a lot. They significantly increase skin cell turnover. They can decrease the formation of skin cancers and precancers, and they actually stimulate new collagen and elastin production. That's verified histologically under the microscope.
What about the retinols you buy over the counter?
Those are generally much weaker. They're inactive precursors, meaning your skin has to convert them into the active form. And they're often unstable in products. So, for real anti-aging and skin health benefits, prescription retinoids are usually much more effective.
Good to know. What about lasers? We hear laser resurfacing, IPL. What do they do?
Laser treatments use focused light energy. Some, called ablative lasers, actually remove the outer skin layer's more dramatic results, but more downtime.
And non-ablative.
Non-ablative lasers heat the deeper layers without major surface injury, so less downtime. Things like Fraxel. These treatments can definitely improve skin appearance, texture, tone, wrinkles.
And maybe even skin health.
Yes. Some devices have even been shown to reduce skin cancer risk. That non-ablative fractional laser, Fraxel, was shown in one study to cut the risk by about 20%. They target deeper skin layers than, say, scrubs or microdermabrasion, which mostly just remove the very top dead layer. Lasers can actually stimulate genes associated with more youthful, healthy skin function. And there are specific lasers like pulsed dye laser or V-beam, great for targeting and removing unwanted blood vessels like in rosacea or spider veins.
Okay. And red light therapy, that's blown up recently. Masks, panels.
Yeah, red and near-infrared light therapy. There is growing evidence it can improve vascular flow, help with recovery after procedures, maybe even offer some protection against UV damage.
Does it work?
The challenge is effectiveness varies hugely. There's not much regulation on the energy output, wavelengths, treatment times, so it's hard to compare devices. Generally, those big wall panels are more potent than the battery-powered masks.
And blue light sometimes.
Blue light is often combined with red. It has antimicrobial properties, so it can be helpful for acne-prone skin by targeting the bacteria involved.
Okay, let's quickly touch on some common skin conditions. Psoriasis, what's the core issue?
Psoriasis is essentially an immune-mediated condition. The immune system gets overactive and tells skin cells to turn over way too fast.
Is it genetic?
There's definitely a hereditary component, and is often linked with psoriatic arthritis. Management depends on severity. Mild cases might respond to topicals, diet changes, weight loss, phototherapy.
Light therapy.
Yes, UV light can actually suppress the skin's immune response. Specific wavelengths, around 311, 312 nanometers, are often used effectively. More severe cases might need systemic medications that target the immune system more broadly.
What about vitiligo, where pigment is lost?
Vitiligo is also autoimmune. The immune system attacks the melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells.
Any links to other conditions?
It is linked to other autoimmune diseases, like thyroid problems. But interestingly, people with vitiligo seem to have a lower incidence of skin cancer.
Huh. Treatments.
Options include topical steroids, other nonsteroidal creams called calcineurin inhibitors, phototherapy again, often a targeted laser called excimer, and newer systemic drugs like JK inhibitors are emerging.
Acne. So common. What are the key drivers?
It's multifactorial. Hormones play a big role, especially androgens, increasing sebum production. Then you get follicular plugging, clogged pores, bacteria, specifically P. acnes, overgrow in that environment, and then inflammation kicks in.
Does diet really matter?
It can for some people. High glycemic index foods, sugary, processed stuff can worsen it. Also, interestingly, skim and non-fat dairy products have been linked, potentially due to hormones or emulsifiers affecting the glycemic response.
Rosacea, often confused with acne in adults.
Right. Rosacea has a few main forms. One is just redness and flushing. Another involves pimple-like bumps. Some people get phymatous changes, like thickening of the nose skin, and it can affect the eyes, too.
What triggers the flushing?
Lots of things. Alcohol, UV light, spicy foods, hot drinks, even emotions and stress. The breakouts are thought to involve skin microbes and immune system dysregulation. Treatments target those different aspects, lasers for redness, topicals, or pills for the bumps.
And eczema or atopic dermatitis.
Eczema is kind of a trifecta. There's usually an underlying genetic defect in the skin barrier, often related to a protein called filaggrin.
So the skin barrier is leaky.
Essentially, yes. Then environmental triggers, allergens, irritants like fragrances, preservatives get in more easily, and finally an aberrant or overactive immune response to those triggers.
So treatment involves
repairing the barrier is key, lots of moisturizing, avoiding known triggers, and then calming the immune system, usually with topical steroids for flare-ups, or sometimes biologic medications for severe persistent cases.
Okay, wrapping up, any final quick tips? Especially things not to do, like popping pimples. We're all tempted.
Oh, definitely advise against popping pimples. You risk pushing inflammation deeper, causing more damage, and increasing scarring. It releases enzymes called MMPs that break down collagen. Just don't do it.
What about using strong steroid creams on zits to shrink them quickly?
Be very cautious. Frequent or widespread use of topical corticosteroids, especially stronger ones, isn't great for isolated blemishes. It can cause skin thinning, actually increase scarring risk long-term, and sometimes lead to rebound acne.
So maybe only for a specific event, very targeted.
Ideally under guidance from a dermatologist. It's not a routine solution. Occasional targeted use for a big event might be okay, but it has risks.
And tattoos. Any major skin health concerns there?
Generally, tattoos themselves aren't inherently bad for skin health. The main issues are potential allergic reactions to the pigments. Red inks are common culprits.
Right.
And the other challenge is surveillance. It can be harder to spot suspicious moles or growths within a heavily tattooed area. So regular full-body skin checks by a dermatologist are even more important if you have extensive tattoos.
Speaking of skin checks, skin cancer surveillance. What's most important there?
Honestly, family history and genetics are probably the single biggest risk factor. Knowing your family history is crucial.
And regular exams.
Yes. Annual full-body skin exams by a board-certified dermatologist are recommended for most adults, maybe more often if you're high risk.
And remember, they can pop up anywhere.
Absolutely. Including sun-protected areas. Think genital region inside the mouth. Some of those can be linked to HPV, human papillomavirus.
HPV, that causes skin cancer too.
It can cause certain types of squamous cell carcinoma, and the incidence seems to be increasing, even in younger people. This makes the HPV vaccine, Gardasil, really valuable.
Who should get it?
The recommendations cover a wide age range now, up into the late 40s for both men and women. It protects against the highest risk cancer-causing strains and might offer some cross-protection against warts, too.
Good to know. What if someone has tons of moles?
More frequent screenings are wise, and tools like whole-body photography or mole mapping, sometimes using AI software to track changes over time, can be really helpful for monitoring.
And just to put it in perspective, non-melanoma skin cancers are way more common.
Yeah. Oh, vastly more common. Millions of new cases of basal cell and squamous cell carcinoma each year. Most are not life-threatening if caught early, but they still require treatment.
Any future hope for things like skin cancer vaccines?
There's definitely research ongoing. Early results with mRNA vaccines, similar technology to some COVID vaccines, have shown some promise in improving survival rates for melanoma patients when combined with other therapies. So potentially exciting developments down the road. It's just fascinating how much our understanding of the skin keeps evolving. It really underscores the need to stay informed and consult with experts.
Absolutely. So to sort of wrap up this really incredible deep dive, our skin is just so complex, so dynamic. It really mirrors our overall health in many ways. We've covered a huge amount today, haven't we? From stress and smoking to sunscreens, diet, lasers, all the way to specific conditions.
I think the key takeaway really is that there's no single magic bullet. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation, but understanding the science behind it all empowers you, the listener, to make much more informed decisions about your own skincare, your sun protection, your lifestyle choices.
We really hope this has armed you with some practical tips and valuable insights. If you have more questions, definitely check out Dr. Soleymani's social media and clinic links. We'll have those in the show notes.
And maybe it leaves us all with a thought. How can we better appreciate our skin, see it as this remarkable biosensor it truly is, and just keep learning about its intricate connection to our total well-being?